I thought Brian had just fallen asleep on the couch again. It was a Sunday. The kids were at my mother's. The house was the quietest it gets, which is not very quiet because old houses settle and breathe and make sounds that feel like company when you've been lonely long enough to stop noticing you're lonely. I had been in the kitchen finishing the dishes. Brian had been watching something on television, and when I came into the living room to tell him I was heading to bed, he was out, head tilted back, one arm across his stomach. The slow, certain breathing of a man who had absolutely no trouble sleeping. I stood there for a second just looking at him. We had been married for 7 years. There is something specific about looking at a person you have shared 7 years with while they sleep, something that sits between tenderness and distance, like looking at a photograph of a place you used to live. I reached over to turn off the lamp on the end table. And that's when his phone lit up. I wasn't trying to look. I want to say that clearly because it matters to me even now. I was not the kind of wife who checked her husband's phone. I had never gone through his messages, never logged into his email, never done any of the surveillance that some people treat as routine in a marriage. I believed that a relationship without trust wasn't worth protecting, and I believed Brian had given me no reason not to trust him. The phone lit up face up on the cushion beside him. And the name on the screen was Anna. I would not have thought anything of it. Brian had co-workers. Brian had friends. Anna was a name that could belong to anyone. But the message preview was only one line. And that one line was enough. You need to stop looking at me like that when she's here. I want to tell you exactly what happened inside my body in that moment, because I think it's important to be precise about this. It wasn't anger, not yet. It was a physical sensation, like the floor had shifted 2 inches to the left, and my body hadn't caught up. Like the room was the same room, but the air in it had been quietly replaced with something thinner. I picked up the phone. Brian didn't move. His passcode was our wedding anniversary. Had been since the day he got the phone. I had never used it before. My hands put it in from memory before my brain had fully decided to look. The thread opened. And I stood in my own living room in my socks on a Sunday night, and I read every single message. It took 45 minutes. Brian slept through all of it. Let me tell you about Anna before I tell you what the messages said, because understanding who she was makes everything that follows make a different kind of sense. Anna worked in Brian's department. Graphic design, same company, 2 floors up from where he sat. He had mentioned her in the casual way you mention co-workers. She's funny, she's good at her job, we grab lunch sometimes with the team. Nothing that flagged anything. Nothing that asked me to pay closer attention. She was 30, Brian was 34, I was 33. She was also, and this is the part I keep coming back to, someone I had met. Twice. Once at a work holiday party 18 months earlier where she had hugged me hello and told me she'd heard so much about me. Once at a team lunch Brian had invited me to last spring where she'd sat across the table and asked about my job and seemed genuinely interested in the answer. She had looked me in the eye both times. I keep coming back to that, the eye contact, the warmth, the way she made me feel both times like she was glad I was there. I think that might be the part that hurt the most, not the betrayal in the abstract, the specific, personal, face-to-face nature of it. The way a person can look directly at you and smile and ask about your life while holding something that would collapse your life in their back pocket. The messages went back 11 months. 11 months is a long time. 11 months ago I had just gotten a promotion at work. 11 months ago Brian and I had taken the kids to the beach for a long weekend, and he had held my hand in the water and I had thought, we're going to be okay. We're tired and stretched thin, but we're going to be okay. I read the messages in the order they happened. The first few months were what you might call careful, friendly, long work conversations that drifted into personal territory, complaints about their manager, inside jokes that built slowly, reference by reference, into a private language, the kind of closeness that grows in the margins of a real life when 2 people let it. Then sometime around month 4 it shifted. A message from Brian, I think about you more than I should. A message from Anna 3 minutes later, I know, me too. I read that exchange 4 times. Not because I didn't understand it, because some part of me kept hoping that if I read it enough times the meaning would change. It didn't change. By month 6 they were meeting. Not at either of their homes. A coffee place 15 minutes from the office that I had